So, welcome to Slush. How is it until now? Is it up to your expectations? Are you meeting cool people? What are you looking for around here?
I think I'm going to let Kristoffer answer because he was just on stage.
Yeah, I would definitely say that it does match the expectations. I mean, it's been fantastic to see Slush from the very first event. So I was attending the very first one to this, which is just absolutely massive. To be honest, I haven't even had a chance to, walk around yet. It's just been so crazy and so hectic. But I really love what you guys are doing. It's fantastic. You're absolutely fantastic.
So you came here to Slush to launch something. Holvi is, if you want to tell a little bit about Holvi and what's so new about it now.
Yeah, so Holvi is basically a new type of modern online banking for groups. And here at Slush on stage, we announced Holvi for Business. So we're bringing in new features like automatic VAT support within the account, e-invoicing, and other features that make it more suitable for business. So it already has a built-in online store and an invoicing feature and budgeting tool that helps you follow how you're spending your money and where it's coming in from. But now it's even better for business.
So just to get it straight for the people who just tuned in, what makes Holvi different from a regular bank?
It's quite fundamentally different. I mean, Holvi really targets businesses, associations, events like this. And what we've done is that we have integrated bookkeeping, so you can see everything happening in real time. There's the integrated budget, there's a store, so you can sell directly from Holvi. You can invoice directly from Holvi. So instead of what a traditional bank is like, basically moving numbers from A to B within their database, we're actually giving those numbers meaning, like what is the context, what are the people involved with that, and you can have a team on that account. So we're really trying to make it so that whatever it is, the activity that you're doing, we're helping you do that.
Okay. You've gotten a lot of positive publicity. Wired loves you. They ranked you the first in Finland, best startup all over. Who is your customer base actually at this moment?
Yeah, I mean, the Wired article was fantastic. We weren't expecting it at all, so it was just a big surprise for us, like, whoa. But yeah, at the moment, our customer base has been associations and events, and now it's going to be increasingly businesses as well. So we're really focusing on those areas where traditional banking is actually quite rubbish, and so that we can add a lot of extra value to that.
How hard is it to win the trust of, especially companies? I would imagine maybe even more difficult than private people. They say that people get married to their banks for life and they never change them. How hard is it to win their trust to suddenly change this kind of an internet bank where there's no real office or clerks or something?
Well, Krista's been our personal banker, so I think she has a few stories.
Yeah, surprisingly, it's not really an issue of security and safety like we initially thought it would be. We're independently regulated by the financial regulators, so that's not really an issue. Usually it's more of the fact that they do have existing systems for doing the things that they would do with Holvi. It's a matter of reaching them at that point when they're really frustrated with their banks, because everybody has those moments, and then communicating clearly what they could replace Holvi with. So it's not just a bank account, there are other features as well.
What have been the biggest issues you've faced in this whole time that you've existed?
I was expecting Krista to share a few sort of customer things, and I'm sure there's like interesting stuff there. But I think one of the challenges is just going through the regulation and having the patience to deal with that. We're only operating now in Finland, but I mean, our aim is to be international. So really, we can't be the photo sharing app that other startups are. We have to really work at that, and that's frustrating. But yeah, it's happening, so one step at a time.
How much would you say you spend towards like bureaucracy and legislation and everything? If you're looking for new city or a new country to launch in, how much time do you actually have to spend on that, figuring out all the gimmicks of that country?
Well, the good news is that in Europe, the banking and the payments and financial regulations are actually, in some ways, better than in the US. So you can be regulated in one country, like in Finland, and then you can passport that through the whole European area. And there is a process that you have to go to reach that point where you can passport it. But after that, you can basically open up, you can pick and choose where you want to open up. So you don't have to go country by country, which is really good news.
How do you see, what are the biggest changes that are going to happen in the payment sector for regular consumers? I mean, or even in the whole financial area, because now you have Square, you have mobile payments, then you have banks that are going online. Where is that all leading? Is it crash of traditional bank industry?
I think it's a broader thing. So the way that we're working is actually changing quite fundamentally. We're working in co-working spaces. Teams are very fluid, so they change. People are acting as freelancers. So you're looking at what is the banking service that kind of serves that new type of working. And that is a very fundamental change. It's changing away from people who have lots of wealth, giving it to the bank so that they can then lend it onwards, into a banking service which is actually active and people can use their money on a daily sort of basis and not just focusing on loans. Anything you want to add?
Yeah. But definitely tech companies are giving banks run for their money in a lot of ways. We're making it much more easy to make payments from country to country. It was started with companies like PayPal, and now there's the next generation of payments companies, and also mobile banking and different technologies, and things like Bitcoin coming up. So I think people are already very used to, at least in sort of Western Europe and Western countries in general, very, very used to online payments. So the comfort level is there for a big part of consumers. So it's definitely moving in that direction, and now there's room for new players to come in.
Would you say you're still in the phase of early adopters when it comes to Holvi users? You mentioned like these sort of people who have a lot of money, and I can just imagine this like old duchess somewhere who is definitely not gonna.
Yeah, I mean, early adopters in some ways, but we have a really, very wide mix of different types of users. We have student entrepreneurs, we have associations, we have middle-aged ladies running charity projects. There's a really wide mix of things. So it's early adopters in some ways, but it's reaching out to those people we didn't expect would be using Holvi at this point.
How hard is it to cater all those different customer segments? Because usually, or very often, a startup only has to consider one or maybe a few, but you have the whole variety of that. Is it difficult to communicate, or how do you solve this whole problem?
Yeah, so it is very true, and Holvi does work for a very broad range of customers, but at the same time, we're kind of discovering which are the customers that we want to really target and focus on. And then sort of just direct the marketing efforts and the sales efforts to those customers so that we can grow a credible kind of customer base around that. And then sort of taking it from there.
So basically the three groups that we're focusing on, associations and different kinds of hobby groups, event organizers like Slush, who are one of our customers, and then now increasingly small businesses. So Holvi's open to everybody, but those are the three that we're sort of targeting at the moment. But definitely, there is a challenge in building the sort of back office for this type of service. So it's not just building an online service, and there's a lot of customer service and internal operations related to scaling the business. So it's something we've been building up and learning about over the course of the last year. And we're really happy with how we've gotten to that point where we actually have a customer service sort of organization in place.
Yeah. What is the long-term thing? Are you gonna add different kinds of services like accounting to this, or are you gonna focus on mobile, or what would be like some gimmicks? Do you have credit cards coming or something? What's in the head right now?
Can I answer yes to all of the above? So yeah, the sky is really the limit, and I mean our vision is really to build a very new, fundamentally new type of banking service, and that means something for absolutely everybody. And there's a lot of stuff involved with that. So yeah, I mean we hired an iPhone developer this summer, so we're not keeping that iPhone developer around just feeding him peanuts. We do have an actual job for
So
him.
I should ask Lari. What
Thank you,
about
Lari.
do you see some trends that are coming to the banking that we can't even think about yet? As in, when you think banking, you think, okay, you have this place where your money is, and maybe you have a credit card or something like this. What else is there that you feel that is out of that experience, or like something that would be necessary to have there?
I think it comes down to the separation between banking and bookkeeping. So bookkeeping is basically giving meaning to money, to make it factual, so to speak. But banks don't do that, and it's historical reasons. They didn't have the back office systems for that. They weren't geared around that. But we are. I mean, we are building that kind of system to manage that. So I think that is one of the big fundamental changes. Krista, do you have anything?
Well, I actually wanted to ask you also, often when you have a startup that is disrupting such a traditional industry, we've seen a lot of problems in lobbying and mobbing and everything like that with, for example, Uber or Tesla or something that comes and breaks a really big area. I would imagine the banks are also not very happy about this, the traditional ones. Have you experienced something like that, or is Finland still safe from that kind? I know it's not, but...
Yeah, thankfully we haven't really experienced too much of that. And I think banks are currently in a bit of a look and see mode. But we also work with the banks. So, the smart banks will actually be able to benefit from this as well. But yeah, let's see what happens whenever this, drop that we have becomes a lake and an ocean. And then they might get serious.
So, how many users do you have right now, and what's your status in going to the next countries? Do you have a timeline plan already to the nearby countries, or where is the next place you're launching?
So we have about 1,000 organizations in Finland using Holvi at the moment. We haven't given sort of strict, timeline for going international, but 2014 is right around the corner, so that's definitely in our plans. So we just hired a new COO to lead the way with that, who's actually, he was just recently left Sunstone Capital, so he's a VC turned Holviite, and we're making those plans as we speak. But basically, we have a growing user base in Finland, and 2014 is going to be a very exciting year for us.
And is it Europe first, or?
It's going to be Europe in general, because this is where the regulation, works in our favor, and there's very many different types of banking markets just within Europe. It's a huge industry. I think Kristoffer can quote numbers on the actual size of the banking industry in Europe.
Yeah, so this is everybody kind of knows that the banking industry is fairly big, but the numbers that I like to quote are like the global ad industry. So the one that Facebook and Google and Twitter are all after is a 500 billion euro industry. The banking industry in Europe alone, so that's just one continent, is 2 trillion euros. So it's like an order of a magnitude bigger. And they're really old-fashioned. The technology is horrible. Their products aren't great. So there is a real opportunity, but it's not easy. I mean, we are dealing with people's money, so you do need to build it very patiently. But the opportunity is absolutely there.
Are you gonna stay put in Finland, or are you gonna have people in every country that you launch? Is that necessary for you?
It depends a bit on the country, but some of the main countries will likely have a few people on the ground. So Germany, UK, maybe things like that.
And did Holvi start because of this frustration towards the traditional banks, or what was the spark?
Yeah, that's an interesting story. We were just looking at an old picture of our office, our previous company from 2008, And in that picture, so co-founder, CEO, Thomas, he was just going through the receipts of an event that I was organizing, an event called the Alternative Party. And his desk was full of receipts. This was in 2008. And basically that was a spark. I mean, at some point we just realized that this is stupid. We're going through our bank statements, we're going through our expenses, we're going through our ticket sales, our invoicing. It's like, computers are out there, they are actually good at this kind of stuff. They should be doing it for us. And so we realized, hey, we can do something about this.
As the last spark, tell us what's the one thing you're excited about or looking forward to at Slush? Highlight. Or what you're gonna do.
I'm looking forward to just walking around and seeing friends' companies, and this morning has been very hectic preparing for our presentation and hosting people at our office. So definitely just looking forward to seeing friends and saying hi and catching up.
I'm looking forward to just having a chance to actually see all the companies here, because I just love it, new innovation.
Yeah, it's really important at the conference to take that 5 minutes to remember it. Thank you very much, Krista and Kristoffer.